Tonight, Republican debate number 2. Last time it was the Facebook Fox News debate. It was a completely abortive attempt to discuss actual issues. Tonight, it is the CNN debate. A lot has changed since the first Republican debate. Lewis, I am endlessly fascinated. I will be watching. Let's go over some of the changes that we've seen since debate number 1. First of all, Donald Trump and Ben Carson are polling much better now than they were prior to the first Republican debate. They've risen a combined 20 points in the averages of national polls since that first debate on August 6th. Trump and Ben Carson, two completely incompetent candidates, now combine for more than 50% of the Republican primary vote. Overall, 6 of the candidates have risen in the polls since debate number 1. Like I mentioned, most significantly, Donald Trump and Ben Carson, but also Marco Rubio and Carly Fiorina seeing some notable rise in the polls. Now, what about the other side of the ledger? 11 candidates have fallen. Most notably, Scott Walker by 8 points and Jeb Bush by 6 points. If you step back, Lewis, and think about the Republican field right now, not who would you like to see win, but who do you think are the sort of more realistic and pragmatic choices for the Republican Party? Jeb Bush and Scott Walker would certainly be 2 of those individuals, but they're the ones that have seen the biggest decline since the first Republican debate.
Yeah, I mean, they're career politicians. They know the system. They know what to say. They know what to do. They know people in office. I mean, they seem like professional, realistic candidates. Even though their ideas are completely insane and would destroy the country.
Small detail.
Small detail, yeah, but those are the realistic candidates, and the most unrealistic candidates are the ones doing the best. Why? I guess Americans do want something different.
Yes, or at least 50% of Republicans seem to. Let's remember, it is very, very early in the primary season. There were 5 so-called clear frontrunners in the Republican field last cycle. You had Rick Perry, Herman Cain, Newt Gingrich, Rick Santorum, Mitt Romney. Now looking back, Herman Cain, who for a while was considered, he is a real candidate. He is polling well. This guy is in it. Who would even mention Herman Cain in talking about the dynamics of the 2012 election today? You would only mention Herman Cain if you were really digging deeply. He ended up being a total non-factor, and I remain convinced, Lewis, that Donald Trump will ultimately be a non-factor in this thing.
I'm still not sure of that. He's got so much momentum right now. And how does all of that just disappear?
It will disappear when he is asked an actual question that requires him to know something, as opposed to just, I'm going to negotiate with China and I'm going to kill him. I kill China all the time when we negotiate a window contract for one of my buildings, and I'm going to kill him on trade. It'll become very clear that the guy knows nothing. And I think that's...
I mean, Ben Carson isn't going to be able to answer these questions that well either.
Oh, he's going to do way better than Trump.
Is Fiorina going to be able to answer these questions really well?
Better than Trump.
The thing is that most of the candidates don't even answer questions directly. They just kind of throw out red meat and talking points.
Well,
and he'll be able to do that.
That's why Trump did well in the first debate. There was no policy discussion whatsoever. So in thinking about what to look for in tonight's debate, question number 1 is there policy discussion? Is there actual policy discussion that forces candidates to expose that they might know or not know something? That is one question. Another question I have is whether CNN will take a sort of anti-Trump framing or will create an anti-Trump context to the debate the way that Fox News did. Does Carly Fiorina shoot back at Donald Trump for his comments about her face and all of the other nonsense? She says that she will. She said, quote, Mr. Trump's going to be hearing quite a lot from me. And then the other question is, do other candidates start to sort of gang up on the leaders, primarily Donald Trump, maybe also Ben Carson to some degree? We saw that Rand Paul went hard against Donald Trump in the last debate, and Rand Paul is essentially no longer a factor. I mean, falling completely off the face of the earth when it comes to his chances in the Republican primary. Will it have a different impact if the entire stage gangs up on the leaders, or might that backfire too?
Hard to say. I'm not sure what kind of controls CNN is going to implement here. I do know that more so than any other network, CNN is probably the network that's the most fearful of being called biased. And so, I think we may have just a really crappy line of questioning here tonight.
So Donald Trump needs to avoid having to answer any real policy questions because he doesn't know anything. Ben Carson needs to appear not to be insane. Jeb Bush needs to appear not to be completely milquetoast and calculated and boring, which has been really part of his problem over the last month or so. And everybody needs to try to get attention and make headlines. And the easiest way is to confront Donald Trump right now. It's not particularly presidential. It's not really enlightening for the audience, but it may be the way to get attention. Broad strokes, who would have guessed that more than a year before the election, we would see such interest in a debate between 11, 15 Republican primary candidates? That's really the stunning part.
Pretty stunning, and I'm wondering if there's going to be collusion here among the other candidates to kind of take Trump down, and we'll see. I think it'll be obvious if that's the case.